Welcome to Gridcrawler Steve Reads a Comic Book. Today we have a timely comic, a comic that, ironically enough, I just found, I guess a few months ago in a marketplace pickup. It was a bunch of early Conan books, and at the back of the pile he had two of these. Two King Kull number 2s and a King Kull, well, I shouldn't say King Kull, Kull the Conqueror number 2 and Kull the Conqueror number 4. And so I decided to give this one a go just on a whim, but it turns out that this book is very relevant to what's going on right now in the Conan, the Titan Comics series by Jim Zub. I say Zub, by the way, and I think I've heard people say it's Zub. So I don't know. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But yes, this is Kull the Conqueror, number 2. I do have issue 1. I found a copy at my local comic shop, $6, but it is a F-, a fair minus. So I think it's gonna be incredibly rough. Like, this one's pretty rough as well. Hey, where's my ruler? Here we go. Like, we could see like the staples, like those staples are rusted. We got the spine bend. Oh yeah, there's tearing on the staples. There's a lot going. We got staining up here. There's a lot going on. But he basically threw these books in for free. I mean, I was able to get, I think it was about 12 early Conan titles, starting at 6 and above, all the way up to about 40. So I was able to get about 12 in there, and it turns out all 12 that he had were ones that I was missing in my early Conan run. So well worth it. And he threw in these 2 Kull books. Well, 3 Kull books, number 2s and a number 4, and he also threw in a Savage Sword of Conan number 3, the large magazine format, which I'll probably share as well through another Let's Read. But what a deal! All that for $40 Canadian. I mean, pretty happy about that. That was quite a pickup. Definitely filled in a lot of gaps in my collection. Alright, so Kull the Conqueror. So this one's Roy Thomas, Bernie Wrightson, and Mary Severin. So Wrightson on the pencils and Severin on the inks. And Bernie Wrightson, I believe he's well known for horror, the horror genre within Marvel, and I think he's done some work for DC as well. Sorry about that. I am going to be taking a few pauses. I do have, once again, I've somehow managed to get a bit of a cold. It is cold up here in Canada. It is a snowy minus 20 degrees Celsius day, so I somehow managed to catch a cold. But yeah, Wrightson on the pencils, Severin on the inks. So what we're going to see probably in here is some of that horror look to some of the cells. Should be a lot of fun. It's quite notable when Wrightson does the pencil work. So this issue is a continuation from issue 1, although it does stand on its own. I find this story, you don't really need issue 1 to dive into this particular issue, but this is an adaptation of The Shadow Kingdom, a Robert E. Howard's short story, a Kull story from obviously Weird Tales magazine back in the 30s. So it is an adaptation by Roy Thomas, but again, it does stand on its own. I think it's not too bad. I will once my #1 issue, once I pick that up, I will definitely do a let's read of #1 to see how it ties into this issue. But right now this one does do well. It does stand on its own. Yeah, so this hit the stands in September 1971. I think at this point, Marvel's realizing that, holy smokes, we have a gold mine here. Sword and Sorcery is huge. Their Conan #1 was massive, right? I think Conan at this point, yeah, I think he's Conan's probably got about 6 or 7 issues going on right now, and Marvel's mopping up. Like, I think DC's realizing the importance of Sword and Sorcery, so I believe they're also trying to start to also pump out some Sword and Sorcery. You know, I'll look into that another day. I probably should have prepared my notes a little better as to what was DC doing at this time. I know for a fact though, Marvel's Conan, as well as these earlier Kulls, they were the first ones. They were like leading the way in terms of what Sword and Sorcery looks like in the comic medium. Yeah, so this book has the famous catchphrase, Kanama ka lajerama. And I think I said that right. Right? And that's it's a mystical incantation, or it's known as an elder race phrase, and it's used to force these serpent men to reveal themselves. So I just want to look at this cover really quick. We got Brule. I think he's known as like the Spear Slayer, as I recall. We got King Kull. This is Brule's second appearance. King Kull's second. As far as I know, it's his second. This is Brule's first cover appearance. This is the Serpent Men's first appearance. It's their first cover as well. So a lot going on in the cover here. A lot of first appearances, second appearances. But these Serpent Men, why am I even like calling them out? Why am I highlighting these Serpent Men? Well, it turns out, as luck would have it, I just picked up the Scourge of the Serpent miniseries by Jim Zub in Titan Comics. And I kind of suspected it was going to go here. I kind of thought, but look at this. We got Brule. We've got Gonar the Seeker, who we're about to visit in a moment in the Kull comic. I won't get too much into what's going on here. But look at this. Kanama ka lajerama. You know, basically Brule's saying to Kull, are you a Serpent Man, right? That's what that saying is, what reveals the Serpent Men. So Scourge of the Serpent really originates from this very book. So just by sheer coincidence, I decided to look at Kull the Conqueror #2. I just wanted to check it out. It's a great story, and it's actually very relevant. So yeah, I thought that was really neat. So we're going to open up page 1 in just a moment. Oh, there's that cough. We will open up page 1. I am just going to try to fix my Winamp, which is a little, for some reason, is only playing the last track. There we go. This is an old, like, Scott Blackwell Virus. He was known as Virus back in the mid-90s. This is an old album of his called Ambient Theology. It's pretty cool. I used to listen to this album a lot while I was reading my books and comics back in the day. So the music's kicking off again, as it should. All right, so let's just quickly talk about the age here, like how this connects to the Conan era, which is known as the Hyborian Age. So Hyborian Age is actually, you know what? I've got a really interesting page in the new Titan that'll probably do a really good job at showing this. So we've got the we got Kull the Conqueror on this side here. And this is the Thurian Age, 100,000 years ago from our time. We've got Conan. This is the Hyborian Age. And then this dude here is... Oh dear, am I already forgetting his name? I have only read the first few pages. This is the modern era. This is 1930s. And unfortunately, I cannot remember his name. I am so sorry. A grand purpose for 3 different men in 3 different eras. But regardless, the modern era isn't as important. Just to demonstrate, we got Kull 100,000 years ago, Thurian Age, and Conan in the Hyborian Age. And so yes, this comic is technically taking place 100,000 or 90,000 years before Conan, but what's interesting is these Serpent Men are across all ages, and that's what Jim Zub is doing in the new Scourge of the Serpent. He is tying all the Robert E. Howard or the Howard-verse universes. He's tying them all together by using these Serpent Men. So it's pretty clever, but wow, do I suddenly realize the importance of this Kull book, Kull the Conqueror #2. Brule the Slayer, he makes his first appearance in this issue. That is true, yes. Yeah, I might have made a mistake. I might have said it was his second appearance. This is his first appearance. This is also his first cover appearance. No, I'm gonna take that back. Sorry, first cover appearance, sorry about that. This is indeed his second appearance. His first appearance was in issue 1. Oh yeah, something to note as well is that Kull the Conqueror is coming out with his own solo series in 2027. Titan Comics. Just like Marvel back in the day, I guess Marvel realizes the success of Sword and Sorcery. Well, Titan Comics, 2023, they released that Conan issue #1. And it has been so popular. I talked to my local comic shops here, and they're shocked how many people have jumped back on the Conan and Sword and Sorcery genre. So way to go, Jim Zub, and Titan Comics. That's freaking awesome. But it's just the same way Marvel realized the popularity and came out with Kull the Conqueror. It looks like Titan Comics is doing the same thing. A little bit further apart. It'll be 5 years later. But in 2027, we are going to see Titan Comics with their own Kull the Conqueror series. I can't wait. All right, let's go through this comic. See, we got a separation there. The covers, I guess, I don't know what we call that in the comic world. It's not a loose cover. Not a loose cover, but it's hanging. Let's call it hanging by a thread. All right, so here we go. Kull. Kull is a barbarian, but check this one cell tells us so much about what's going on here. He's surrounded by luxury, by civilization. He looks bored as heck. He does not look like he's having a good time here. But check out the heavy ink work there. The heavy ink and like pencil by Severin and Wrightson. Pretty nice. Already we get that kind of dark fantasy look in this first page. And this dancer, she's a picked warrior. So even as a king, Kull feels more at home with these outsiders, with the Picts, than he does with the Volusian nobles. Lots going on in this page. Oh, and I just want to I just want to focus on that crown for just 1 second. Kull throughout this series constantly complains that the crown sits heavy. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And just look at his body language, right? We see him coiled up, waiting for something to happen. He's bored. He misses the battlefield. This is a barbarian thrust into the role of a king. All right, the ambassador. We meet Kanu, the ancient. He is the diplomat for the Picts. He's old and wise, and is much sharper than he looks. What's interesting here is he doesn't bow to Kull. So he's showing this unique respect between the two cultures, the Pict culture and the Volusians. Kanu right away gives a warning though. He tells Kull that Volusia is rotting from the inside. Bear with me here, as I'm going to try to fix the look of this. There we go. That's a little better if I put my little beanbag down. So Volusia's rotting from the inside. We get a sense of paranoia though from Kanu. He's telling Kull you can't trust the faces you see in the light. So now the hook. Kanu invites Kull to a secret meeting. This is a classic Robert E. Howard Kull to adventure moment. So the story's now moving away from the throne room into the shadows. The shadows of Volusia in this case, and I guess that's why the story's called The Shadows of the Kingdom. Page 3 here, we have Kanu explaining to Kull that we are surrounded by masks. And this is our first mention of the Serpent Men's ability to magically disguise themselves. This is the same Serpent Men that are currently making the rounds in Titan Comics, as I mentioned before. And we are introduced to the Shadow Protector, the Spear Slayer, Brule. So unlike the Volusian guards, Brule is a warrior Kull can actually trust. And to be honest, this here marks the start of one of fantasy's #1 or greatest bromances. Brule, and Kull become somewhat inseparable throughout the whole series, and in fact, even in the Scourge of the Serpent, the new comics released today, we see the two attached at the hip. Best buds for life, I guess. So we get the mission. We're getting a bit of a backstory here, and the mission is being set. Kull and Brule must go on patrol through the palace at night to see who is real and who is a serpent. At this point though, Kull has to make a decision. Does he trust this barbarian Pict that he has just met? So we'll see if that trust pans out throughout the pages here. Oh yes, the Red Slayers. So the mission has begun, but what's an important cell is down here. We see the elite has fallen. These are the Red Slayers. So I imagine in issue 1, I'll have to see when my issue arrives, but I'm guessing we're going to get a lot more background on the Red Slayers, but these are the elite guards. And they are very powerful, and they're there to protect the nobles of Volusia, including King Kull himself. But notice the lack of struggle. So it suggests like the Slayers were killed by people they trusted, or by creatures that look like people they trusted. I mean, they're just pretty much lying there. And I think here we see Kull realizing that this mission has become more serious. This isn't about his nobility, about his crown. He's now fighting for his life in a palace that's full of mystery and is possibly even a death trap for him. Okay, we see the Shadow of Two. This is our chief counselor right here. So up until now, he's been Kull's right-hand man. But now we see him stalking through the halls with a dagger. There looks like there will be betrayal in these pages. So Kull and Brule, they devise a plan to put Kull in his sleeping quarters, in his bed, and to lie there pretending to be fast asleep. So this is really nice. We got some really nice close-ups happening here, at least right here. That's, I think, you know, that's that horror genre coming through, especially with the heavy inks. Like, look at this. That is fantastic. That's great artwork. The heavy ink in this issue is so nice. So yes, here we have two striking at Kull, the sleeping form. Kull springs the trap. So the pacing here is now moving, right? This comic is booming. There's a lot happening here. And finally, Kull ends up stabbing who he considers his friend, but also now a traitor. But as his body falls to the ground, we see the transformation into the true form, which is the Serpent Men. So the realization here, we see realization in both Brule and Kull, especially in Kull, that hey, everything Canoe has told us about these Serpent Men, these doppelgangers, is true. Now remember, at this point too, so not only does their death reveal their true form, but also the Sane, which is the lajerama Sane, will also expose their true form. They're not able to repeat those words, and that's a sign that that the person you're speaking to might not be who they really claim to be. That's pretty sweet. There's Craven the Hunter. So once again, look at this. We've got the deflated king. You know, so we had action. Kull was called to action. He's now sitting back in his throne, and once again, quite deflated. That battle, we saw him moving quickly. The cells were, the pace of that page was fantastic, and now we see once again a poor deflated Kull. Kull at this point revisits a history, and it's a secret history that only he and a few people know. And it talks about this Volusian king called Elalar. I hope I'm saying that right. His name is Elalar. Now, he was an ancient king in Volusia, and he was replaced by a serpent man centuries before Kull. And this is an important history as it speaks to the fact that these Serpent Men have been around since the dawn of time. They're really a pre-human race, according to Robert E. Howard's lore. They have been around. They've been in our world since the dawn of time. All right, and then we have Brule coming back from disposing of the serpent's body, but wait a second. Volca and Hotath. I guess those are the gods, the Volusian gods. Brule is attacking Kull now. What is happening here? So once again, back to the fast pace action. This page is referred to as the House of Mirrors. And at this point, Kull has no idea what is real or what is not. Obviously, Kull dispatches Brule immediately. And so, once again, we're seeing Kull the King becoming that barbarian in an instant. So, beneath the crown, he certainly is a warrior at heart. And yes, Brule was a snake priest, Kull says. And we see a very happy, very deflated Kull, very happy. He looks quite satisfied with the battle that just took place. I think the question really remains here, though. Who can we trust? We see the narrator. Roy Thomas, excellent narration. These boxes, they're so fun to read. But can we trust? Who can we trust is the question. Wonder what Brule's gonna say when he comes back. Aha. Kull and my own fallen image. And look at the powerful stance of Kull. That's fantastic. There we've got a true barbarian. Yes, but Brule returns to see the fake Brule on the grounds. And we definitely have a moment of tension between the two, right? Kull is now covered in blood. He's holding his sword. I think on this page we will see the lajerama test. Kanama. It's interesting, they talk about using the test, but it's not spoken here. But Brule is letting him know there is a way to tell. No snake man can say these words. The test is here. Kanama ka lajerama. There we go. So he says the words. He is not a snake man. That's got to be the real Brule. Towards the bottom of the page here, we are now devising a new plan, which is to strike at the heart of the enemy. They need to find the Council of Seven. They believe this to be the heart of the serpent cult. Oh yes, I just need to point, I just noticed this. You can buy a squirrel monkey that was in Florida back in the day. A good healthy stock of South America, okay, I guess monkeys, at a special low price. Will amuse children and adults for hours. So you send them $13.95 and they're gonna ship you a monkey. Yeah, I don't even know. I should look that up one day. Ah, yes, beautiful. Look at that horror. The horror is coming through. This is referred to these cells as the ghost of the serpent throne. So this is actually Elalar. This is the king that Kull was referencing a few pages earlier. And so we see the walking ghost of Elalar. Yes, okay. And so we're getting some background on Elalar, and the realization Kull makes here is that this is what happens to the men that the Serpent Men replace. They don't just kill the person, but they erase their legacy. They steal their identity and take over that person. This is referred to as the living death. Yeah, quite horrific. And we see Brule quite shocked by what he has seen. Brule is a picked warrior, and the Picts are very superstitious compared to Levolution, so, you know, he's having a really hard time with what he's seen, this ghostly apparition walking right in front of them. But what's interesting about the ghost is it's actually leading them to where they need to go, to where the Council of Seven is being held. So nice horror page here, page 10. Fantastic horror feel to the page. And in contrast, we see Kull returning to the light. He's returning back to his roots, back to his throne. Yes, okay. And we see another test, the lajerama. Man, I hope I'm saying that right. But we're seeing Kull and Brule testing the Red Slayers, and certainly those are real guards. And there's some irony happening here. So the Serpent Men hide themselves by taking over the identity of those that they have fallen. But here we have Kull almost doing the same thing. He is a barbarian dressed in king's garb. So who is really the mask here? Is it the Serpent Men, or is it Kull? It's referred as the Royal Masquerade. And going back to this cell here, we're definitely seeing some strong trust and bonds happening between the two. They're being strategic here. They're going to be quiet about what they know of these Serpent Men. Yes, another half page. So we could fill in the ads. We get the half page up above. And so, despite what they know, the day goes on. The kingly duties begin, and we see Kull listening to petitions and judging disputes. But all Kull sees while talking to the people are the Serpent Men faces. He's not sure if who he's talking to is man or not, or is an illusion. And this is really the core of the whole Shadow Kingdom concept, the story. It's really a question about who can you trust. Now, what is interesting about this half page is it really helps speed up the passage of time within these 4 cells. So there's a lot going on here. We got now King Kull recalling some of the previous battles. And so the use of the ads almost kind of helps speed up the day. The day's complete. Kull and Brule, stay close. Brule, stay close to me. We still can't trust anyone. The two have an understanding here. Now, of note, this is the council chamber. This is where the throne is. So they aren't sure if anyone around them is a serpent or not. But I think we know where this is going to go. Page 14 and 15, this is the serpent's strike. So the trap is sprung. As soon as the doors close, the council stops pretending, and we go right from this regal, defined, royal council to suddenly becoming predatory and menacing. So check out that transition. And away we go. And we see the test Kanama Ka Lajerama. And of course, they are all Serpent Men. So we see Kull not waiting, and he strikes right away. Sorry. So Kull and Brule, they're definitely outnumbered here by the Serpent Men. But Kull is ferocious. He draws the sword. And once again, the royal attire is thrown to the ground. He's done playing the role of king. And he's back to being what in issue 1 we hear him referred to as the Tiger of Atlantis. Atlantis is where he's from originally. And so Brule fights side by side. The two are equal. They're equal in terms of their fighting skills. And this is the idea where I suppose a sword and spear, or this spear and sword synergy, is born. Sword and sorcery, not on these panels. We got spear and sword. Oh, some relief. I think we know what's going to happen here. So the battle in the council chamber continues. This is the moment, though, Kull stops being civilized. A civilized king, and he's definitely returning to his primal roots, as I mentioned in the previous page. We could see that transition starting to occur. He's fighting with sheer, like, minded fury of the Atlantean exile, who we learn in the first issue. He was exiled from Atlantis. So it is a tricky fight, though. What we're learning here in the narration is that the Serpent Men are really fast and strong. They're inhuman after all. They're not human, and so it's a harder fight than both Kull and Brule thought. Look at them. It's interesting how the arms will stay human. It's just the face, the head, that turns into a serpent. Yes, so what a change in posture, right? Again, you know, we've got the battle is won, and Kull is it's just I can't even explain this. He's satisfied that he was able to battle, and it's quite the transition to when we see a not so happy King Kull, and we see him quite deflated, right, in the previous pages. Look at that difference. I mean, he's a true warrior, no doubt. It's almost a moment of rebirth. I think a lot of what I've read about this page is it is kind of a rebirth moment. Oh, and this is a Howard trope. And I've seen this in the Titan comics. I've seen it in some of the earlier Conan runs. The look at the sky. So in the Robert E. Howard books, with me here as I actually grab the book. Why not? I should grab the book for just a moment. This here is a collection of the Weird Tales. It's the complete collection. And I just want to quickly show you guys. I wasn't prepared to do this, but there it is right there, Shadow Kingdom. It's the first story. And so in the story itself, there it is. Jeez, what luck. I'm just flipping randomly and I'm So in this story, yeah, we see characters like looking up into the sky, looking to the heavens and stuff. I'm just going to switch back to the comic. And there's some symbolism going on here, that this represents the open road and the freedom of the barbarian. So an important cell right here. Very, very important. All right, this story is almost done. Oh yes. We see reality fading away. I love that kind of psychedelic look there. It's almost like Barry Smith style. That's pretty nice. But reality fades away, and the realization is that they were not in the council chamber at all, and instead have been lured into the cursed room where King Elalard was murdered centuries ago. So the Serpent Men were playing with their minds the entire time. It's quite the realization by both Brule and Kull. So there's some panic. I mean, look at the panic. They're like, we need to get out of here. Yes, and the panic continues. Hold, imposters! Oh my goodness, yeah, I absolutely forgot about these last few pages. I forgot about this part of the story. But it's now Kull versus Kull. We find them leaving the room, trying to flee the Serpent Men's hold, only to come across another Kull. But it's interesting because it's not the same. Kull is more fluid. The imposter moves differently. So the duel for the throne begins. So this is a key moment. If Kull loses this battle, and we can... Bear with me, sorry. Sorry about that, I was unfortunately coughing a bit there. But if Kull loses this battle, who's to know that the King of Volusia has been replaced? So a key moment here. But we see Kull starting to take control of his doppelganger. People refer to this page also as the chess match of blades between Kull and the Kull doppelganger. And our last two pages. This is the moment of truth. And we see Kull lifting the doppelganger, calling out the words in front of everybody who's able to repeat those words, proving that they are the true people of Volusia. And he throws down the doppelganger, the Serpent Man. You know, Kull's savage nature is really coming through on this page. Oh yes, okay, and yes, we've got Kull sealing the serpent's bodies in that chamber from long ago. So with this, a dark chapter has been closed, or we think it has been closed. I'm not sure we're going to see the Serpent Men for the rest of this series, but certainly they've come back in the new Titan Comics run. Kull vows to hunt all Serpent Men from the lands. So this changes his mission. He's no longer about holding the throne. He's now decided to become a protector, dedicated to purging this hidden evil. And here we have Brule saying, Kull, you're quite injured. Let us help you, but Kull refuses that help. You know, he just is leaving as kind of a tough guy here. But here we go again. We've got the slump. The battle is once again won, but we're seeing a slumped king leaving the story in these last few cells. He's physically and emotionally exhausted here. He's walking back to his chamber alone. So he's got the council's respect, he's got Brule's respect, but he still feels alone. And his people in Brule respect that and let him leave in silence. And this is really how a lot of Howard's stories end, especially, in Sword and Sorcery. And I'm not talking about Conan the movie. That ends. There's a different feeling of those endings because it's movies, but in most of the Sword and Sorcery stories from the 30s, and Robert E. Howard, how he does his endings is there is no hurrah, there's no parade, there are no cheers. You've just got a barbarian who's won the battle but is exhausted and knows that he's gonna have to do it again tomorrow. So it is a victory, but also feels quite tragic at the same time. So that was it. That was issue 2. Let's just see if there's anything on these final pages here. Anything of... I can maybe leave it on the map. That's kind of nice. There's much more detailed maps. That's a... Well, I guess that would make... Wow, the Thurian... Yeah, Volusia's taken up a large portion of the continent in the Thurian times. Wow. And we see Atlantis as well. I don't believe we'll see that in the Hyborian Age. I think Atlantis is now gone. It's underwater, I believe. But an important issue, for sure. This is a surprising issue. It's a great story, quite deep, lots of action, lots of good pacing. And Kull and Brule really build their relationship. This issue is very significant. I mean, it's the start of that powerful brotherhood between the two of them. It reveals the Serpent Men and even speaks to the fact that they transcend all the ages, something that is so important in the current Conan lore and the Scourge of the Serpent series. So yeah, just an amazing book, and quite surprising how it fits, how this one book fits into everything that's going on in the Howardverse today. Let's see, what else do we have here? We got fishing stuff. We got I'm not sure, picture. That's a lot of fun. Let's just go right back to the cover. Yeah, an excellent story. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Leave a comment if you want to. I probably will be doing a few reads of Scourge of the Serpent. It's only a 4-part series. I think I could probably share some of the pages without getting into too much trouble. I'm trying to be careful with my music, with what I show and how I show it. You're not able to read the fine text. I feel I'm, able to share these things without infringing on too many problems. So with that said, I think next episode will probably be Kull number 1. It might be Conan number 6 as well, because I just finished 5. I might do some Scourge of the Serpent, or let's see, another book here that's just sitting on my desk. Or this book's gotten banged up a little bit. Or I might do Savage Sword of Conan Reforged. A lot of debate on that one. Should we have colored the original black and white artwork of a Savage Sword of Conan? That is very debatable. I won't get into it here because that's not the point of this story. But if I do a read-through of the Conan Reforged, we'll definitely dive into the coloring techniques and how that's being perceived. All right, thank you for watching. This has been Gridcrawler Steve. Do I have a... Where's my... There it is. This has been Gridcrawler Steve Reads a Comic. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for another episode.